I'm Trip Douglas.
Welcome home and stuff.
And I'm Ernie Douglas.
James Bond, Secret Agent 007.
And we're here to tell you.
Ernie!
Just a minute, Uncle Charlie.
Come on, Ernie, you're gonna be late for school.
We're doing a promo for Me TV and junk.
Ernie, Trip.
Yes, Dad.
Come here a minute, will you?
We'll be down in a minute. As I was saying. Tramp, be quiet. Tramp?
Hey, have you guys seen Robbie? Oh, hi, I'm Katie Douglas.
We're my three sons.
Ernie, I had to learn about women like Melissa through long, tough experience.
Let me make my own mistakes. They're half the fun.
And one daughter-in-law.
Thanks. Now I really feel like one of the family.
Watch me on Me TV.
You think girls are just boys' gift wrap.
Weekday mornings at 7, 6 Central on Me TV.
It's real neat.
Hi, I'm John Malos. Welcome to Connect with me live on the showroom floor here at Ventura TV on this Thursday morning. You know, the tax deadline is fast approaching. April the 15th will be upon us before you know it. We have a tax expert here in the house today, and we're going to talk about what the do's and don'ts are as we approach that deadline. Your phone calls are important. 265-4331. We're back in a moment. No doubt about it, today is Ask an Expert Day, and we're going to be talking about the tax deadline. You know, doesn't it seem like the holidays, I'm talking about Christmas and New Year's, doesn't it seem like that just happened yesterday and already we're talking about a tax deadline? And you know what's even worse? In April, if you own a house, your house taxes are due at the same time. So you get the old double whammy. If you owe taxes to Uncle Sam, you've got to pay him. And then you've got to pay Fresno County if you own a house here or anywhere else in the country. It's due, I believe, on April the 10th, or at least it's got to be postmarked. Let's go to the videotape and we'll talk about the old tax season. Uncle Sam, hey, he's out to get your money. Do you owe him money? Well, he wants it now, and there is no two ways about it. There are some of the tax forms that we're looking at. We're looking at mainly the 1040, the 1040A, and the 1040EZ, but there's so many forms to look at, the supplemental forms. It's so confusing. Remember years ago when Steve Forbes was running for president, he was talking about a flat tax. That seems like a lifetime ago. It's so frustrating for people that go in, the tax filers. There's some people there trying to straighten out their situation, whether or not they owe money, whether they're going to be receiving a refund this year, whether or not they're going to file on time, get the extension. Will they file at all? You've got some people, not these people in particular, but some people that haven't filed their taxes in years. And so they're in a jam, and if they are in a big jam, you've got to call the big guns in. Live in our studio right now is Frank Huerta. He is a big gun. He is a tax attorney right here in the city of Fresno. So if you have not filed your taxes in years, you got to call Frank. We'll give his number out. We'll give our number out right now, 265-4331. 'Tis the season to be jolly, or 'tis the season to file your taxes and pay up. Uncle Sam wants his money. 265-4331 is the number. If you have a tax problem, call in and ask our expert today. We're back in just a moment.
Frigidaire. We introduced the first home freezer, the first pulsator agitator washer, and now we introduce the Frigidaire Orbit Clean Dishwasher, designed with a unique wash arm that gives you 4 times more water coverage for a consistently better clean. Frigidaire, over 90 years of legendary innovation.
See the full line of Frigidaire appliances at Ventura TV Electronics and Appliances.
And we're back. You know, it comes to mind that, you know, they couldn't get Al Capone on anything but tax evasion. That's how they got him. Tax evasion. We're approaching the tax deadline. Frank Huerta is here. He's a tax attorney. Now, you didn't have anything to do with Al Capone, did you? You weren't around back then, were you?
No, I don't think so.
You didn't try to help him out, did you?
I would.
You know, you can get away with a lot of things, but you can't get away from Uncle Sam on taxes, can you? It's unbelievable. We've got a phone call already right off the bat. Let's take it. Good morning. You're on Connect with Me with Frank Huerta. He is a tax attorney. How are you?
Good morning.
Good. Speak up. Turn your TV down and speak up. And what's your question?
Well, I have many questions, but first of all, I am the grandson of Al Capone, first of all. Right, so that's a topper.
Okay. Should I have reason to worry?
Well, here's my analysis. In a lot of time, if the Federal Reserve took us off the gold standard from the Queen, then basically the IRS is run by what, the Mormons, which are like, you know, almost like closet banker Jews.
All right. Well, listen. Let's not get personal here with any particular group. If you have a tax question, Frank Huerta is here to answer your questions. But you know, we don't like personal attacks here on the show. So, do you have a question for Frank? I mean, we appreciate your call. Okay, we cut him off. Okay, he's gone. At any rate, let's put up on the screen, Frank, the tax deadline. Let's put that up on the screen so people know and they realize that, hey, Frank, look at that date right there, April the 15th, 2013. You can't get away from that date. You can't hide from that date, can you?
Well, if you made enough to meet the filing requirement, you should file April 15th. If you can't at least file by that time, you can ask for an extension.
Yeah. Here's what gets me, and we're going to put this up on the screen too, the many tax forms that are available. Steve Forbes, of course, talked about a flat tax many years ago. You've got the 1040, the 1040A, the 1040 EZ. You've also got a 1040 NR. That is for a non-resident alien working under a visa. What are all these tax forms? Why so many different tax forms and all the supplemental forms? I don't get that.
Well, it depends on your situation. The 1040 EZ, for example, is just designed for pretty much single or married taxpayers with only like one W-2 and no dependents, and it's pretty straightforward and easy to fill out. The 1040A is kind of like in between. You may have some dependents, you may have a few deductions, but you don't have to fill out an excessive amount of forms.
What about the EZ?
Well,
sure, it's not easy, but the EZ is what?
Like I mentioned, it basically covers taxpayers with only maybe one W-2, and they just fill out the information from their W-2, and it's pretty straightforward to fill out.
It's confusing, though, with all the supplemental forms that you have, too.
Oh, yes.
And if you own your own business, you've got other forms that you have to fill out, and you have to file quarterly. Good morning. You're on Connect with Me with Frank Huerta. How are you?
Good morning.
Good morning.
I have a question about the people that, you know, when you see on a television commercial where if the IRS is auditing you, that they have all kinds of people that say they're going to alleviate the tax problem. And what I've done is I've contacted the FBI because I think those people are embedded in the IRS, and what they're doing is they're trumping up fake audits, and then they're shaking people down for 10 cents on the dollar. So these companies that I've sent in to the FBI, they've ran and hid, and they're part of the overall thing like you saw on 60 Minutes, where Bain Capital is involved with all the credit agencies, and once again, that's back in Utah and back with the Mormons again.
Okay, you want to follow up on that? Do you want to try to tackle that question? Because I'm not sure what he was getting at. But I mean, I saw the 60 Minutes piece. But go ahead and Frank and comment if you would.
Well, I'm not sure exactly what he was getting to, at least as far as some type of grand conspiracy. But as far as some of the organizations you may see on TV, you may want to double check what their reputation is. I know that a few of them of the more famous ones have been shut down because such as the Ronnie Lynn Deutsch, J.K. Harris have both been shut down. Actually, both have had actions placed against them by numerous attorney generals in various states, and that's the major reason why they've been shut down.
What's the major charge? What's the accusation that they're doing what?
Okay, the major charge for those companies has been that they're largely taking money from clients and not really providing services, or they merely just forward the numbers that the clients put in, at least when they fill out the application for the offer and compromise, without any additional service. Like I mentioned before, the Attorney General's office actually moved against Ronnie Lynn Deutsch, and they have a pretty extensive list as far as not just that, but a number of issues with that particular firm.
Yeah, not surprising. Put something up on the screen now. Talk about e-filing your returns. Okay. For the newcomers on the block, what does this mean to e-file the IRS? You get your return in 7 to 14 days with a direct deposit if you are going to get a return. What does e-filing mean?
E-filing means you're electronically submitting your return directly to the tax agency, to the IRS, or in our case as well for the state of California.
Is it similar to an email?
It's only similar in the fact that you're transmitting the information electronically, but it's submitted through the software program that you use or your preparer uses. It's not something you can basically just type in the forms and email the agency. You can't do that.
It's a special program.
Yes.
All right. Now, I was also seeing online a lot of complaints, a lot of identity theft problems with e-filing. Why is that?
Yes, there are a number of reasons why there have been problems with the e-filing programs. One of the biggest problems is the ID theft, where someone merely takes your Social Security number and then generates a false or fraudulent return to get a refund, and then they have it directly deposited into their bank account.
How do they do that? Are they cracking the system, or what are they doing? How are they getting that information?
It's typically not that they're cracking the IRS or franchise tax board system. What they're doing is they're finding your Social Security number via other sources, and then using your Social Security number.
But how are they gaining access to it?
Well, once they obtained your Social Security number, there have been a number of news reports about hacking involved with retailers, with websites where you may have your personal information, and they obtain your Social Security number, and as I mentioned, they'll basically fill out a return, fill it out with at least the most refundable credits, and deposit it into an account.
So for all those people out there that are e-filing their tax forms this year, do they have reason to worry about identity theft?
They shouldn't, at least. The only thing where they should worry about identity theft is when they e-file and for some reason it isn't accepted and they get the explanation that a return has already been filed. If that's the case, then someone has used their Social Security number to fraudulently e-file before they've had the chance.
So there is a red flag?
Yes, there is. And if that's the case, you should report it to the IRS and or Franchise Tax Board. And the IRS has new procedures in place to assist you so that you won't be the victim of a fraudulent return.
All right.
Before
we go to break, let's take one more call. Good morning. You're on Connect with Me. How are you?
Yes. Good morning.
Hi. Quickly, what's your question?
Yes, I sued the federal government in U.S. District Court, and the U.S. District Court covered up the case with obstruction of justice, which means that the senators, the congressmen, the IRS, the court system is all in collusion and all bought off by the criminals. So there's no truth anywhere to be found.
Okay. I don't know what I can say out of that comment, but we're talking with Frank Huerta. Your phone calls are important, 265-4331. If you have a specific tax question, okay, no derogatory comments, but specifically a tax question, turn your TV down, speak up, we'll take your call, 265-4331. We're back with Frank Huerta, tax attorney, in just a moment.
Don't you ever hit me again!
Chief, I think we got a hit on our hands.
MeTV Fresno, now on Comcast Channel 187.
265-4331 is the number. We're talking about the tax season, April 15th, the fast approaching. Frank Huerta is here, tax attorney. Let's put up on the screen the refunds. If you e-file your tax return, Frank, here's what's going to happen. You got to wait 72 hours from the date that the IRS confirms receipt of your return before checking your refund status, and at least 3 weeks if you mail the return instead. Now, exactly what does that mean?
Okay, well, once you e-file, the IRS typically does respond with a confirmation that they've accepted your return.
They received it, in other words.
Yes,
and you can
and
feel
have
comfortable.
accepted. Yes.
Okay.
Now,
well, wait a minute. They receive it. What does it mean that they accepted it?
Okay, when you transmit it, you'll usually receive a message from the software program, or if you have a preparer, they will forward it to your email stating that your electronic return has been transmitted. So that's the same day or almost instantaneously. And then you should receive confirmation from the IRS or Franchise Tax Board within that 72-hour period stating that they've accepted the return or that they have not accepted the return.
I see. And if they accept it, that means everything is okay. It's kosher. Don't worry about it. Go to sleep. You won't have identity theft. Good morning. You're on Connect with Me. How are you?
I'm okay. I have a question.
Sure. Go ahead and speak up. Turn your TV down.
I'm remarried, and but I owe past child support, and they've taken my income tax return from that to pay the child support down. But now that I'm married again, how does that affect my wife?
Okay. When you file for the upcoming tax year, what you should do is fill out an injured spouse form or injured spouse release form. You put it in, or at least you include it with your 1040. That way, you know, you owe back child support, so the IRS is going to apportion which part of your income goes to your back child support and which part your wife will be free as the injured spouse from having to at least pay that, because under the federal levy system, essentially they'll take the entire return if you don't put in that injured spouse.
So if you do owe back child support or back alimony, it certainly does affect your tax situation then, doesn't it?
Yes, if you're entitled to a refund, what typically happens is the state or municipality will request an order from the IRS to collect the refund. The IRS doesn't really have any role in it besides...
Let's say you owe back child support of, say, $1,000, but you're getting a refund of, say, $5,000, they're going to take it out of there.
They're going to take the $1,000 out.
Yeah, they're going to take $1,000 out of that, so you're only going to get $4,000 out of that.
That also goes for student loans as well and other debts that are owed to either the state, federal government, or municipalities when they place a lien on it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So keep that in mind. If you owe child support or even potential alimony that you haven't paid in quite some time, like say several months, that is going to be a major factor. What happens if you owe money in that situation? Obviously,
well, if you owe money,
it changes.
Yes, the IRS only collects what's due them as far as your tax obligation. They're only interested in excess money that would be used to pay off your other debt.
Right. Another thing we want to put up on the screen here is mailing in your return, Frank. Sometimes, you know, this can be a problem. And I have a question here as I'm going to read this. If you mail your tax return, it takes approximately 6 weeks from the date that the IRS receives it to the process that to process your refund, I should say. Now, here's the thing. If you mail your tax refund in, okay, should you send it registered mail or just send it regular next day or whatever mail? Or first class?
Okay. First class is sufficient, but if you honestly want to take that above and beyond measure, you can send it registered mail.
Yeah, registered or certified. They accept it, right?
Yes, they will.
Okay. Good deal. Got that out of the way. Good morning. You're on Connect with Me. How are you?
Good morning. Yes, I'm doing good.
Hey, good, good. What is your question? Turn your TV down if you could and speak up.
Yes. My question is, my ex-wife, she claimed our son this year, and actually I was supposed to claim him. So what is something that I can do
Flip a coin.
Okay.
So, I mean, I was told to go ahead and claim them and then see what happens, you know?
Okay. There are a number of things that you can do.
In other words, if there's a dispute and they both claim them and only one is supposed to, what happens?
Okay. Typically what the IRS wants is you fill out a form designating which tax years each spouse can claim which dependents, but many taxpayers don't have that. Then the IRS will look and see whether or not you have a custody agreement in place, and a lot of custody agreements will have, you know, one spouse uses the children for even years, one spouse uses it for odd years, and they look to that. If you don't have that, then what they do is they do a test. How many days did the children live with each parent? How much support did each parent provide? And then they finally go on to that. But they would much prefer that the parents just fill out the form.
Boy, they delve into that much information. They have time to do all that? That takes
well, they
time
would prefer
to
not. They would actually prefer not to.
You know, these people, they got a lot of time on their hands, I got to tell you. Anyway, you know, it always pays to get along with your ex-wife, right? So I know that for a fact. Personal experience, my friends. 265-4331. It does pay off. You got to get along in this world. We're only here for a short time. Hey, we've got Frank Huerta here. He's a tax attorney, and he's here to take your calls. We're back in a moment.
Is taking care of laundry taking too much of your time? Have you become a missing mom? With a new fast, efficient washer and dryer from Ventura TV Video Appliance, you'll spend more of your day the way you want.
This Amana Super Capacity Washer Dryer Pair is now just $6.99, and this heavy-duty Maytag Super Capacity Washer Dryer Pair is only $8.99.
Don't spend your life on laundry. Upgrade today at Ventura TV Video Appliance and save.
And we're back with Frank Huerta. We're going to take a call right off the bat here. He's a tax attorney. Good morning on Connect with Me. How are you? I guess they got tired of waiting. Anyway, Frank, we talked about so many things this morning. What is the difference if somebody has a problem and they want to go in to see an enrolled agent or a tax attorney? What's the difference?
I would say it's very similar to it's not the same field, but kind of the difference between seeing a nurse practitioner and a doctor.
So the enrolled agent would be the nurse practitioner, the tax attorney would be the doctor.
Yes, exactly. So enrolled agents are authorized to practice before the IRS, but they do have some limitations. Not every enrolled agent is authorized to practice before the tax court. Attorneys can petition to become part of the tax court, and you keep that in mind as far as when I tackle a tax problem. I keep it with the intention that if it has to go to court, I'm going to have it ready and prepared to go to court.
All right, let's take a call. Good morning. You're on Connect with Me. What's your question?
Hi. I called earlier about that tax question with getting remarried with tax child support. We've been married 7 years. Can she file those an injured spouse on those back years that we've been paying? They've been taking her money for the last 7 years.
You can request a return or a refund claim, but you only can go back 3 years. Since the filing deadline this year is April 15th, you want to get those amended returns in, at least for the 2009 tax year, in before April 15th. Otherwise, you're going to lose the ability to do it for that year.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate it. So where can you go to get free help, free advice? I know you charge money for people that get in trouble, okay, but where can people go if they have a question about their tax return and it's free?
Okay. If you can at least do the return yourself, or if you're pretty computer savvy, you might want to check irs.gov. They'll have at least a list of services that are approved and sanctioned or safe as far as filing your return. But if you're talking about local help, you might want to check the Voluntary Income Tax Association, or VITA. There are a number of VITA sites that provide free tax preparation. Also, there are a number of other nonprofits that provide free assistance with tax filing. I used to work at Central California Legal Services, and they also provide free assistance for filing this year's taxes.
All right, what happens if a person owes money and they need more time to file? one, and number two, what if they can't afford to pay what they owe? That's like a two-part question.
Okay. If you owe money and you can't pay it now, but you think you can pay it within 6 months, file the extension. You can do that without a hassle as far as the IRS is concerned. The Franchise Tax Board prefers that you pay 90% of your tax, but if you don't, file the extension. That way you don't get hit with the failure to file penalty. If you know you can't pay it over for more than 6 months that the extension gives you, you can still opt to file the extension, or you can just file the return. Now, if you file the return, you don't have to include, the entire amount. You obviously can't. So
pay whatever you can.
Pay whatever you can and file the return. That way, you're not hit with substantial.
Will the IRS understand? Will they be a little bit lenient? We hear of some of these hardcore cases.
Depends on the situation. Most of the time, yes. And especially if you can pay off your debt within a 6-year period or a 72-month payment plan, and your debt is less than $25,000, they'll pretty much work with you fairly easily.
What happens if a viewer out there right now is watching this and they're saying, and they haven't filed their taxes in years, and they haven't been caught yet? What does that person do?
I would suggest it's much better to proactively fess up and file your tax returns rather than they come to you.
So if you fess up as opposed to being caught, are they going to be more lenient?
Well,
because you voluntarily came forward.
You would be eligible for more options for penalty abatements, especially for the failure to file penalties, especially if you get representation.
So there is some leniency there if you fess up to what you've done.
Yes,
or
there
not
is.
Done.
Yes.
In this case.
And by the way, if you don't file, there is no statute of limitations. They can come after you 20 years down the line. If you do file and there's something wrong with the return, they've only got 3 years in order to find something out.
So there is no statute of limitations at all?
If you don't file.
If you don't file.
Yes.
We have 1 minute left. How do you find a good tax professional? I get this question all the time. I fortunately have a great guy that helps me with my taxes. And how do you find one? You go to the phone book? You go to the internet? How do you do it? How do you know who's reputable?
I would say to a certain degree you want to check with local associations that license those professionals, see if there's any records of discipline. Also, to a certain degree, if you get advice from someone who knows that tax professional and knows that person is doing a good job, that's another tip. I would try to avoid agencies that tell you they'll only do cases that are over $10,000 or over a certain amount, because they'll basically treat every client as a flat number.
Do you like firms like H&R Block? Are they okay, or what do you think?
To be honest, at least it depends on the individual who's working that you see. Some are better than others.
All right. Okay. Frank Huerta, hey, come back again. We enjoyed having you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming on short notice. Frank Huerta, a tax attorney. And your phone number real quick is what?
Area code 559-224-1600.
All right, we're back tomorrow with the father, the man who helped build the B-1B bomber in this country, a big deterrent in the Cold War. See you tomorrow on Connect with Me on MeTV Fresno.
Weeknights on MeTV. Who loves you, baby?
You shouldn't ask.
It's Kojak.
Well, it sounds like music to my ear.
On MeTV.
Look at me.
Why do we love him?
Maybe it's the way I comb my hair.
Or maybe it's his trusty right-hand man.
More bite?
Crocker! Crocker! Crocker!
Kojak!
Well, I just wanted to hear how it sounded.
Telly Savalas' Kojak.
Story of my life, baby.
Weeknights at 12:30, 11:30 Central on MeTV.
Who loves you?
Nothing could be finer than to be in Carolina in the morning. Nothing could be finer than to be in Carolina.